Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at one of Charlie Munger's most famous quotes. The quote more specifically talking about how the first $100,000 is a pain. More specifically, we're going to be taking a look at why and how exactly is it that the first $100,000 that a person makes is always the hardest. Charlie Munger has years and years of experience and education, all the way from being an officer in the military to earning his JD from Harvard, as well as he has over 10 years of experience when he was working with an investment firm where he returned over 20% per year. But he's most well known for being the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, as well as Warren Buffett's right-hand man. He's currently worth about $1.6 billion, and he has currently been able to amass a net worth of about $1.6 billion. So, a little backstory. Back in the 1990s, Berkshire Hathaway was having its annual meeting when a young man approached Munger asking a question on how he could better create his wealth. The man was complaining that he was having a tough time starting out and he wasn't able to grow his wealth as fast as he would hoped for. That's when Munger responded with one of his most famous quotes. The first $100,000 is a pain, but you gotta do it. He further goes on to say something in the realm of, I don't care what you have to do if it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon. Find a way to get your hands on $100,000. After that, you can ease off the gas just a little bit. So obviously, we can all relate to this, right? We've all tried to either do something or start something. And when you're starting off, you're a bit motivated because it's a new idea and something new that you want to try and implement. But over time, you start to kind of lose that resilience to continue going because you feel like you haven't been able to sort of exceed as much as you had hoped for. So with the goal of trying to save your first $100,000, it can be quite a pain. More specifically because the amount of money you're making towards that $100,000 is mostly going to come from your savings. Despite the fact that you're, yes, saving your money and investing it, you're going to get very little returns on your investment during this time when you're trying to build that first $100,000. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at an example on saving your first $100,000. Let's say you want to accomplish this goal in about a time span of about 5 years. And during this time, you were to constantly and consistently save your money each month to work towards this goal. Now, while you're doing this from year 0 to year 5, let's say you also make about a 5% return on your investment every single year. If all cases hold true, you would need to save about $18,000 per year or about $1,500 per month in order to reach your goal. And that's if all cases stay true. You might not be able to make a nice 5% return on your investment. It might be one of those years where it's just a really rough year and you actually end up losing money on your investment. But let's say you're able to save up and make a return on your investment of about 5%. All cases hold true. At the end of the 5 years, you saved up about $104,000 of your money. Of that $104,000, because most of it is savings, but you do have some that's a return on your investment, you would actually have about $89,000 that came just from you saving your money. Or in other words, if you want to look at it more from a percentage standpoint, about 86% of the money you saved is directly from your savings, and the other 14% come from your return on your investments over the last 5 years that money has been growing for you. Now, let's go ahead and say maybe you make a bit more than that and you can actually save a bit more aggressively because you're determined to go ahead and achieve your goal of $100,000 within a certain amount of time. So for this example, let's go ahead and say you want to save $100,000, let's say in 3 years' time. We're going to keep all other variables the same where you're still getting a nice 5% return on your investment as you're growing your investments from year 0 to year 3. Even if you were to get at least a bare minimum of a 5% ROI each year that you're saving, you would still need to save about $31,000 per year in order to achieve your goal of saving $100,000 within the first 3 years. That's also going to be roughly about $2,600 that you have to save per month for 3 years in order to save up the $100,000. Now, this might sound a little more confusing because it seems like, all right, well, you're saving more aggressively. So as you're saving more, you might be able to also have that money further invest more, right? But with investing, time is actually your friend. You want to allow it more time so it has more time to further grow and develop and continue to compound over X amount of time. Now, let's say you better understand the stock market and you're able to get an ROI of about 12% per year. Even with a 12% return on the money you're saving from year 0 to year 5, you would still have to save over $15,000 per year to reach at least $100,000. So clearly, no matter how much you're able to make on your returns from year 0 to year 5, whether it's 5%, 1%, or even 12%, you're still going to have to save a significant amount of money in order to achieve your six-figure goal. Now, let's say you are able to go ahead and save that $100,000. It's 5 years have passed and you're able to save $100,000 into your portfolio and it's making some nice money for you. Now, let's say you have that money invested into dividend returning investments, or pretty much with that $100,000, you've purchased stocks of a company or a piece of a business where, because you're a shareholder of that company, they go ahead and return money back into your pocket, sort of as a thank you for being a shareholder. By the way, I'll go ahead and make sure to add a link to the video somewhere up there further discussing how stocks work. If you were to have your investments invested into dividend returning portfolio with about a 4% return per year on that $100,000, you would be able to make about $330 per month for that entire year. So each month that passes, you would make about $330 passively. Now, perhaps that might not seem like too much for some people, but this does allow some sort of flexibility for people to be able to perhaps work less or not necessarily have to save up as much, because now you're making an extra $330 each month into your paycheck. Or technically speaking, you're making an extra $330 of positive cash flow. You can also look at it at the angle of, let's say you have $100,000 of just cash waiting in your investment portfolio. You go ahead and go all in on, let's say, one company that you really want to invest in and you really think it's undervalued and you think that consumer behavior is going to make it skyrocket even higher, even though it's super low right now. You go all in with that $100,000 and let's say you make a 30% return. Well, in 1 year's time with a 30% return, you'll have made about $30,000. Clearly, $30,000, that is a fair amount of money to make on 1 year's worth of investments. I mean, for most people, that's possibly a salary, or with that $30,000, you can go ahead and further reinvest it. And now you have $130,000 a year later, and you can further invest that and allow it to grow. Even if you were to make a 30% return on, let's say, $10,000, you'd only make about $3,000 within that 1 year on top of the $10,000 that you originally invested in. Now, both making $3,000 and making $30,000, they're both great because you're still making a nice 30% return. But it does take time for your money to grow. So that's why with Charlie Munger saying your first $100,000 is a pain, but you got to do it. It's because you need some sort of principal, a fair amount of principal too, not just $1,000 or $2,000, $3,000. You want to go ahead and save up a nice amount of principal so that principal money is able to go ahead and work for you. And according to Munger, he feels like $100,000 is just the right amount to where you can allow it to grow over some time and it's actually able to make a substantial return for you and allow some sort of flexibility in your life. So let's say you don't currently like the job you're in now, you can go ahead and try to find another job because you have a fair amount of money that's working for you and being able to bring in that nice cash flow and take care of you, maybe take care of any expenses you have, such as food or rent. Anyways, as Charlie Munger says, your first $100,000 is going to be a pain, but you have to do it. So no matter what happens, just keep working and keep on hustling until you save your first $100,000. It's not going to be a life-changing thing where because you have $100,000, you're now a millionaire and you never have to work again. No, you only have about $100,000, but you do have enough to allow some flexibility and sort of relaxation in your life to be able to go and do other things that you want to be able to do, as well as grow your investments. So while you're working your way towards your first $100,000, make sure to just continuously keep saving, consistently save every paycheck that you get towards that first $100,000 so you can achieve that flexibility in your life. And whatever happens, just stay patient. You'll get there as long as you keep working towards it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching.